Okay, hi. So, this reading is directed at two distinctly different groups. So, on the left hand side, we've got the group who's interested in pursuing a soft life. On the right hand side, we've got a group that is strongly in their masculine energy and just want to go after financial independence. Now, what this both groups have in common is that they have never heard of financial abuse, or maybe they have, but they don't have a full understanding of what financial abuse is. So I feel like Pal Two is basically walking into a lion's den. They think that the soft life is the ultimate dream life. So pile one thinks that living the soft life is the ultimate dream life, and they think that they would be so happy if they achieve that life, while pile two sees the soft life as being kind of the worst nightmare, but they can't quite put their finger on it. They can't quite put their finger on why, or even if they can elaborate on why, they can describe why it's their worst nightmare, and they don't want to be trapped in that situation. And I'm hearing the word trapped. The Pal 2 sees the soft life as a trap. They don't. Most of these people don't understand that the reason why they fear the soft life is because they have had financial abuse traumas growing up. So these are two sides of the same coin. Both. I'm not saying that I'm an expert in financial abuse, although I have personally experienced it, and I'm still trying to heal from the trauma. But it's both of these sides. Just simply need, if there's anything you get out of this reading, is please read or watch videos on financial abuse from mental health professionals, because I feel like for pile one, you've got solar plexus chakra. So that tells me that you already have your root chakra needs fulfilled, and you've also developed some level of confidence. It's just that, and okay, so people who start chasing the fulfillment of their heart chakras are usually people who already have had their three lower chakras needs met. Okay, so you have your self-actualization, you're comfortable in your life, that you're able to be creative. You probably have a choice in career, so you're not forced to work a certain job because you have to make ends meet. I'm seeing that you are already in a position where if you were to, God forbid, be abused in an unacceptable way by an employer, you would have the privilege to quit. So you have shelter, you're clothed, you're properly climate appropriately clothed. You probably have some level of basic education, and you're not worried. You're not concerned about whether you're going to eat the next day, even though perhaps in your childhood you have experienced times where food was a concern, and that's a trauma, and that's probably why you want the soft life. And for pile 2, I feel like you're the type of person who understood the concept of impermanence from a very young age. So you're the type of person who sounds like an old soul and would say something like, well, we don't bring money with us when we die anyway. We don't bring our assets or property, and what matters is, I don't know, not screwing up the earth. You have kind of these high-minded concepts, and people think that you're sitting on a high horse. And I'm not saying that you're not intelligent. What's really happening though is people tend to demonize you and vilify you and say, oh, well, it's easy for her to not be into material things when she grew up upper middle class or something like that. I feel like people think that you sit on a high horse because you you grew up privileged and you don't understand that some people need to fulfill their childhood scarcities in their adulthood, you know? So it's kind of like, let's say as a child, you were never allowed to have, what was I not allowed to have? Oh, I remember. When I was a child, I wasn't allowed to have Oreos. I swear to God, I was not allowed to have Oreos because at the time I lived in a country where the ingredients in Oreos did not fit my family's religious restrictions, dietary restrictions. So I was never allowed to have Oreos as a child. I was only allowed to have McDonald's if I was sick. And so as an adult, I buy all the Oreos I want. I buy I don't buy McDonald's anymore because the Gaza boycott. I haven't bought McDonald's in ages since the war started, but yeah, basically if you were given limitations or rules as a child, or you had certain material physical needs unmet, you're going to fulfill them once you start earning your own money, right? And I feel like people think that you don't have a concept of that you don't understand that, and you just let it slide. You don't really care what people say, because I feel like for Pile 2, you have been vilified and demonized and hated for a very young age for your privilege. And in reality, it's, how do I put this? It's, people think that you're sitting on a high horse, but you're actually sitting on your trauma. So people think that you're high-minded because as a child, your parents afforded you all the books you could consume. And if you wanted to learn about Buddhism and impermanence, then you had it. You had access to all the knowledge. That's what people think. But what people don't seem to understand, and because you never talk about it, because you never express it, probably out of embarrassment, is that you were probably financially abused as a child. And financial abuse, when people think about financial abuse, they typically think of, I don't know, a child actor and their moms exploiting them and their moms taking all their money, and, you know, the child is the breadwinner of the family. When people hear financial abuse, that's usually what comes to mind. But the financial abuse that you endured is that your parents did provide for you, but they weaponized the money. They weaponize the money. And here's why Pile 1 needs to listen to this whole reading is, and I don't want to sound patronizing, but I really don't want Pile 1s to learn this the hard way, okay? You want to live the soft life? Go live the soft life. That's your life and you deserve it. You deserve to be treated well. You deserve to be pampered. You deserve to be spoiled. But oh my God, you need to understand what financial abuse can do to a person, okay? Because financial abuse can be so painful. It can scar you in ways where, as an adult, you will find it very difficult to accept gifts from people. Okay, so an example of financial abuse is, let's say, as a child, you were spoiled with gifts, okay? You were spoiled with gifts, but anytime you misbehaved, your parents would take those toys and burn them in front of you. Or, and also what I'm seeing with Pile 2 is that there's the adventure and there's a boy and a girl. So you and your siblings may have endured this together if you have siblings. I'm sorry if you're an only child. But if you had siblings, you bonded with your siblings over the fact that you were financially abused as a child. So, for example, your parents bought your brother a PlayStation, and your mother has anger issues, and she just smashed the PlayStation, and your brother's just wailing in the background, and that became a core memory in your life. And you bond with your siblings, and so there's with the adventure, I sense that, oh my God, I'm so sorry to put it this way, but the cards say what they say. I'm sorry if you have this trauma. I'm not making light of the trauma of financial abuse as a child, but it's kind of this with the adventure card, I'm getting this is a karmic lesson. You had to learn the impermanence of things through these childhood traumas. And it's kind of this sense, and because I know that sounds so stupid. Oh my God, you're a spoiled upper middle class kid, and you're literally traumatized by the fact that your parents smashed a PlayStation in front of you, or you're traumatized because your dad or your dad threw your Barbie dolls in the garbage bin and burned them. And I know that sounds so kind of like. But as a child, that thing can really scar you, and you grow up into the kind of person who feels like they deserve nothing, and it's become so hard. For some of you who have experienced this, it's actually become hard for you to feel like you can accept gifts. You're the kind of person who probably can't even accept compliments, because if you were raised financially abused like that, what's to say that you're not going to be emotionally abused like that? And this is why Pile 1 needs to listen to all of this, because the childhood financial abuse that I am describing about Pile 2's childhood is what might happen. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen to you if you embrace the soft life with a life partner, with a girlfriend or a boyfriend who will provide for you, or a sugar mom or a sugar daddy. I'm not saying that will absolutely happen, but I need you to understand that there is a very real possibility that that might happen. Okay? So, and I just want Pile 2 to feel heard, because it's not a sob story, right? Telling people, oh, when I was a child, especially, I don't know, this is probably going to be so offensive to Americans listening to this video, but in my country, we don't have student loans, okay? So either you go to university or you don't go to university. If you can't afford to go to university, then you don't go to university. If you can attend university, it's either through a government scholarship or through the bank of mommy and daddy, right? So in my country, financial abuse could look something like, okay, we'll pay for your university tuition fee, but you must study in this major. You must major in, I don't know, economics. You must major in law. You must become a doctor. You must go to medical school. If you don't study that, we're not going to pay for your university education. And that can screw up the rest of your life. And I know it's hard if you're somebody who struggles with student loans, or if you're somebody who didn't even have the opportunity to experience higher education. It might seem offensive to you to see somebody complain about that kind of financial abuse. And I feel like that's why. And I feel like for my Pile 2s, you're the type of people who are self-aware, that you know that there are still people who have it worse than you, so you never express this. And because of that, you internalize your life experience. And it's so weird, but there are people who experience financial abuse as a child, and as a result, they find it very hard to let other people provide for them. So I know the stereotype is that there are people who have had to hustle and struggle since they were a child, and they're always in this masculine energy. They're always in this hustle mode, and they're just used to that. That's their default, and that is rooted from a trauma. But on the other end of the spectrum, there's also this trauma of, oh well, I was. It's kind of like being privileged, but then being taught that you don't deserve your privileges. So as a result, for example, somebody might buy you a gift and you say, oh, no, you don't have to buy me a gift for my birthday. And I've seen people who are so traumatized by their financial abuse traumas that they will literally not touch the gift. And some people actually have to go to etiquette school, which I know sounds so fancy, but they have to go to etiquette school and be taught that if you don't accept the gift graciously, you're going to hurt the gifter's feelings. And that's the only way that they can start learning and healing and kind of learning to accept how to accept from other people. And financial abuse is a very real thing, and if you want the soft life, at least do yourself the favor of understanding what financial abuse is. And I'm not trying to kind of discourage you from living your best life or whatever. I know that the idea of soft life is, oh, well, he's just going to provide for me, blah, blah. But please, at least have your own emergency fund so that if the relationship doesn't work out, you have, if you want to quit working, quit working. It's your life, you know, quit working, do whatever. But before you quit working, please have a safety net, because financial abuse is not funny. It's a form of emotional abuse. I'm sure it can, kind of, kind of spill into other types of abuses. But I really don't want Pal 1 people to learn this the hard way. And for Pal 2, if you've never heard what financial abuse is and you relate to the scenarios I just described to you, you need to read up financial abuse too. Okay, so both Pals need to learn about financial abuse, and heal. And if healing means that you finally, you know what? I feel like for both Pals, need to learn how to embrace their feminine energies and learn how to accept things, because I feel like even for Pal 2 is not in their feminine energy. They're so determined to be financially independent and provide for themselves because they have experience having somebody use money against them, to control them, to puppeteer them. They know that there are always strings attached. And I think that Pal 2 needs to learn that sometimes people will give you there are loving people in this world who will give you out of the kindness of their hearts, and they won't bring things up. It's also financial abuse when somebody gives you a gift and then they keep bringing it up. Or when you get into a fight, they say, well, don't you remember when I bought you this or that? And it's just kind of, I don't know. I just read up financial abuse is the point of this video. I'm not a mental health professional. I've just had personal life experiences, and I haven't even experienced, thank God, I haven't even experienced every type of financial abuse, because there are many types. Financial abuse can range from everything from being financially taken advantage of, from being stripped of your job, being forced to quit your job so that your quote-unquote provider can control you. And I really need people to understand from both sides, whether you grew up impoverished or you grew up privileged. Financial abuse can affect anyone. If you grew up impoverished and you think, oh, now is a time of my life to experience a soft life, yes, go and live your soft life, but please understand what financial abuse is first so you can protect yourself. Have a secret account. I don't know. I'm not qualified to give financial advice, but if you want to live the soft life, at least start your personal bank account that nobody knows about, so that if the relationship doesn't work out, you have an escape plan. You should always have an escape plan for any relationship. Unfortunately for Pal 2, if your financial abuse happened in a parental child situation, I mean, you can't choose who your parents are. And I'm so sorry to say this, but the adventure card says that this is meant to be a life lesson for you. This is a karmic lesson that you're meant to learn in this lifetime. And for Pal 1, celebration is all about you finally reaching an understanding that you deserve better in life, and congratulations for that. With Pal 2, I feel like you need to, it's the heart chakra in the reverse, which tells me that you need to heal your heart chakra and understand that there are people who will love you just for you. No strings attached. They will not bring up the things they gave you. I mean, I feel like because you've been through your traumas, you know how to identify whether people are going to, whether the people you deal with in a romantic sense remind you of the kind of parenting that you grew up with, or your parents' marriage that you grew up witnessing. And I feel like, yeah, this is a really interesting deck, in that if you zoom into the Six of Cups card at the far right bottom, you'll see that this is such a weird interpretation of the Six of Cups, because the Six of Cups is usually about your childhood, but instead you've got this girl saying, no, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. And then you've also got the Four of Cups. So I feel like this is one of the reasons why you find it so hard to enter into relationships, whereas pile one wants to be in a relationship, but then they have the Four of Wands in the reverse. So okay, this is a weird channeled message to get in a reading like this, but focus more on your marriage. Focus more on the marriage than the wedding, because I feel like so many couples, they focus too much on the wedding and they want it to be their biggest specialist day and they turn into bridezillas. But then they forget that it's actually the marriage that matters. That it's the day-to-day life in the marriage that matters. So even though maybe your soft life partner will throw you a huge wedding and it'll be the wedding of the millennia, during the actual marriage, make sure that the relationship is healthy, that it's financially healthy, that you're not trapped in a kind of ballerina farm situation. That ballerina farm thing is really triggering. And also with the Seven of Swords in the reverse is getting to know your partner very well before you commit to them, before you move in with them, before you sign any papers with them. Please try to learn as much as you can, and make sure that this is really who they are and they're not going to switch up as soon as you sign those papers. And also with the Seven of Swords in reverse, it's also giving me the energy of you unlocking this dark world of financial abuse. I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm really not trying to scare anyone. I'm not trying to discourage anyone from living their best soft lives. If you manage to get into a soft life relationship, go. I'm happy for you. I just don't want you to learn the hard way, as patronizing as that may sound. And for those of you escaping a financially abusive relationship, whether that be with your parents, your family, or even if you already got trapped into a bad soft life situation, I'm getting the cards. I am capable, I am confident, I am worthy. Okay, so I am worthy is mostly for pile 2, because I feel like pile 2 grew up with financial abuse and were basically at a subconscious level, you never think that you're worth anything that you're given. And I feel like even in the workplace, you feel like you're never that employee asking for a bonus. You're never that employee who asks for a raise. And that may actually shock your employers. I don't know if you watched my How Does Your Boss or Coworkers Feel About You? And I think for some of you, pile 1 might resonate, because you come off as very posh, you come off as very bougie, and therefore your employers don't think that you need money and you just do it for fun. And one of the effed up reasons why this might be the case is that because you grew up being taught that you didn't deserve anything. Maybe your parents employed a reward system where you were only given nice things if you felt like you deserved it. And that, don't get me wrong, that's great parenting. It's a good way to teach your children that they actually need to work and earn what they get. But some parents take it to such an extreme that as adults, sometimes we feel like we need to overwork ourselves for the bare minimum to actually deserve what we get. And I feel like some of your employers might think that you come from money, that you're old moneyed, that you're only working for fun. to fill time, which is so effed up. But behind the scenes, you're actually financially struggling, is what I'm getting for some of you, and you just, I don't know, you just need to heal those childhood wounds. And I am worthy. Yeah, you are worthy. You are worthy of getting gifts. You are worthy of your job. You are worthy of a fair salary, for income. And I am confident if you feel, and you are capable. So if you feel like you're trapped right now and you feel like, oh, I can't leave this situation because I'm trapped and I don't know how to earn my own money, or I don't know how to manage money. Start somewhere. You've got to start somewhere. There are people who are so privileged out there that they don't even know what the electricity bill costs. But sometimes you think, are those people really privileged, or were they kept in the dark by people trying to control them? And I feel like, yeah, it's so important to understand the nature of financial abuse. And if your partner tells you to quit your job, or your partner burdens you with things and then they complain, it's kind of like your partner wants you to prepare meals from scratch at home. But then if you buy a mixer that's even a little overpriced, it's not even the highest end mixer, they'll complain and say, oh my God, how dare you? I'm the sole breadwinner in this household. And then they guilt trip you for wanting to use that mixer. It's just kind of, it's so much easier if you have your own money and you can spend it at your disposal. But I don't know. Just I really need you. Everyone. I just need especially women, I just need everybody to learn what financial abuse is. Yeah, I really hope this helped. I hope this didn't trigger anyone. But if you're one of those people who people side eye and they get snide on you, and it's easy for her to not be so thingsy because she grew up wealthy. I just want you to know that you're seen, that me as one person on the internet doesn't automatically assume that you're out of touch, that some of us understand that maybe it might come from a place of trauma, so I hope everybody heals. Thank you for watching. I'm so sorry this is longer than it needs to be, but yeah, please read up on financial abuse.